We've got some breaking news out of college football here on CBS Sports HQ, where Michigan star Blake Corum is set to undergo season-ending knee surgery. That's according to multiple reports. He was initially injured against Illinois and attempted to play last weekend against Ohio State. Corum had just 2 carries against the Buckeyes before being taken out of the game. The All-Big Ten tailback will finish the year with just over 1,500 yards from scrimmage and 18 rushing touchdowns. That is tied for 4th in the nation. We want to welcome in Josh, Pate and Barrett Sallee, who are at the Verbo House just outside of Atlanta. Gentlemen, you are prepping for the SEC championship game, but joining us here to talk about Blake Corum undergoing this season-ending surgery. Your initial thoughts when you heard this news?
Barrett, we were at the game last week, and I watched him come out to warm up, and his leg was heavily wrapped. I'm talking like Stone Cold Steve Austin style knee braces, and you could see it under his game pants. And it was an incredible effort for him to even play in the game, albeit on a very limited basis. But he did not really play at all last week. So as we start to look ahead, first off, we hate it for him. We hate it for Michigan, and that stands to be stated. But when we look ahead now, we have seen Michigan play the biggest game of their season, sans Blake Corum. And Donovan Edwards stepped up, and he could still be running if the end zone didn't get in his way last week. So it's not that this completely guts that room, but make no mistake, that's the best player on that team who we now know will not play in the college football playoff or the Big Ten championship.
Well,
game.
He is, but I think when you look at what Donovan Edwards did last week, over 200 yards, he's gone over 100 yards 3 times, once against Penn State. So we know he can do it in big spots. Now, I think the one thing with this Big Ten championship game, it's against Purdue.
Yeah.
It's not like they have a tough task in front of them. Then they're going to have a month off. And a month off will prepare Donovan Edwards for that #1 role. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that they can probably get through the Big Ten championship game, and then they're going to have a month to get him ready, get everybody ready for the playoff semifinal. And I think that will make Michigan maybe soften the blow a little bit.
Yeah, there's other big news out there today, Jacqueline, Barrett, that I think we've all paid attention to. We've all talked about, boy, with that college football playoff expanding. Hope you guys are getting used to this news, because it'll be more and more plentiful.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier here on HQ. Now, it sounds like you guys aren't too worried about Michigan in the Big Ten title game against Purdue, but how does this alter Michigan's national title hopes for you guys? Does it concern you at all? We're pulling up the CFP rankings right now. They're at number 2. With Blake Corum out, does it concern you for their national title hopes?
Yeah, absolutely. You're taking the best player away from a team. Now, granted, yes, they're going to have time to prepare for Donovan Edwards. It might not be the same. Blake Corum has been such a stalwart for that team. He's the guy that carried that offense essentially for the first 11 games of the season, and then J.J. McCarthy became a little bit more of a downfield threat. It did expand their offense a little bit. I think it did help their offense knowing that he can provide that J.J. McCarthy can provide that balance. But part of the reason that he provided that balance was because everybody was focused on Blake Corum. Now, opposing defenses might focus more on J.J. McCarthy, and to me, that makes their national title hopes much more difficult now than it did yesterday.
He'd stick his nose in pass pro. I think part of this is common sense. Part of this is you're losing your best player, yeah, it's a big deal, but also if you were to pinpoint 1 or 2 players, in other words, this year's Aiden Hutchinson,
right,
for example, that team had sort of revolved around and coalesced around. You're looking at him, Blake Corum. I know he'll still have a presence around the team, but if that presence is not on the field, we've seen that happen before. Yeah. It's a different ballgame.
All right, that is Josh, Pate and Barrett Sallee joining us here on CBS Sports HQ. Thank you so much, gentlemen. And if you're just joining us, we are following some breaking news out of college football, where Michigan star Blake Corum is set to undergo season-ending knee surgery. Make sure you check out the Cover 3 podcast. The guys will have a lot to talk about this. You can download and listen wherever you get your podcasts. And you can also scan that QR code that you're seeing on your screen.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.